Hey there, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is content warning. I first want to thank everyone that saw the video Autism versus PTSD. It had a huge response. I guess those are topics of interest, and I'm glad to touch on a topic that is of interest, whether that has been autism or PTSD for you. I did have a lot of comments. I'm so grateful to everyone that joined the channel. Thank you so much for being part of the Rare Bird Medicine channel. I'm really delighted to get to connect with those of you that chose to have comments on the video. So thank you for your comments. And this video is actually created from one of the comments. A person had asked for me to please put a content warning. And I thought it was really, it's really thoughtful to any comment that I get. I'm happy to get, whether we agree or disagree. I appreciate all feedback. I appreciate all thoughts. You're taking your precious time, which is one of your most precious commodities, and you're sharing it with me. And so thank you when you do that. I appreciate it a whole bunch. Time is precious, and it has a narrow window under which it will collapse and we'll all die. So thank you. But it was interesting because this particular feedback was helping me to flush out how I feel about content warnings. Heather Feather does not place content warnings on her video or on her content. I feel that a rose does not warn you of its thorn as it pulls you in with its fragrant smell. Life, as a general rule, does not come with a content warning. And many of us will face intense trials and tribulations in this life of things we did not expect, things did not go the way we anticipated, and that did not come with a content warning. And if it had, we probably would have sidestepped the situation and had not had the opportunity to garner the evolution that we have access to from the situation we got into. So just to let you know, if you watch my channel, I don't use content warnings, but it's not just this piece of I'm not doing it because life doesn't do it. It's not some, I don't have to do it, life does it. But that is true. Also, I want to talk about being triggered. It's a popular word in the modern age. Everyone's triggered. No one was triggered in the past. They didn't have a word for it. They didn't have languaging for half the stuff they were experiencing. Just lots of trauma. Bless it. I get that certain things in life can trigger us. And sometimes the content we view can trigger us. And the person that gave that suggestion did the perfect thing. What they did is turn the video off. They said, I had to turn this off. That's perfect. I love that. I love that self-care. I love that self-respect. Yes. That's what we do. If something doesn't work for us, if the content we're receiving from life doesn't work, we do have the option of saying no. We do have the option of turning away. We do have the option of choosing again. And that's not true in all circumstances, because I've been in some where it's like I literally have to get through the dark experience first, that I don't have the typical freedoms I would have to get away from it. And I do believe that triggers are gateways. So I just want to talk about being triggered. It's like you're triggering me. You said the word. So let's use a word that may be a trigger to you, like rape. If you've been raped, that word may be a trigger. Sometimes that word has been a trigger to me because I've been raped a bunch. And it can trigger me and it can cause me to have memories. Triggers to me, and I've had the Akashic Records echo this sentiment, and it's where it really kind of solidified this belief in me, are gateways for you to have the opportunity to do shadow integration work. So when you are being triggered, when you're having an experience of being activated towards some historical trauma, trial, tribulation, or even something that you're currently going through, and you're feeling triggered by whatever content you're taking in, and you didn't get a content warning, and now you're triggered and you're feeling upset, and it's activating, maybe it's increasing cortisol in your body, maybe your heart is starting to race, you're starting to palpitate, whatever it is doing on a physical level, but on a mental level, it's flushing up thoughts you don't want to think about. It's maybe causing, because our feelings are always resultant of our thoughts, feelings you don't want to feel. When we get triggered, we are being given a gateway. Here's a door. And sometimes we just recently had the trauma and we're not ready to go through the gateway. And we need to keep the door shut, and we want to lock the door and make sure all the windows are shut, because it's like, I can't even deal with that word, that topic, that content, that information. And what that two-legged did on my channel is a perfect right thing to do. Turn it off, get away from it, say no to it, back out, to the best of your ability, use your free will to do what serves your highest health in the moment. And so if we have a fresh trauma, we might not be ready to go through that gateway. It is my experience that if you are triggered by something, that trigger will come up again and again in your life. And that's because you're given lots of doorways, lots and lots of doorways, trigger gateways to move through and process the experience and do shadow integration work. And shadow integration work is where we take an experience that we don't understand, that is not of our nature, which is love, and we take that very separate type of experience and we assimilate. What gifts did it give me? Richard Bach says in Illusions, there's no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. We seek problems because we need their gifts. And every problem, every trial, every tribulation, every trauma, every trigger has within it a gift for you in its hands. It has an opportunity for you to better understand the content of your character, the content of other people's character, the value. A big lesson I've been learning throughout my life for Heather Feather, somebody that prefers to not judge and practice non-judgment, is discernment is still important. And so a lot of the traumas and experiences I've experienced were about Heather learning to develop discernment. Just because I love all of humanity doesn't mean I necessarily want to engage with all of humanity. So sometimes it might be, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to step away. This is a no for Heather. I've talked a lot about toxic femininity because, and I feel like this is a piece of it, we've gotten into an age where, and a lot of comedians joke about it. Heather Feather watches a lot of comedy because I'm chronically depressed and I love to figure out how to make myself laugh since I'm the steward of the ship. And they joke often about how kids these days are sensitive. There's a lot of comedians that do the shtick on, you can't beat your kids anymore. Heather would say, people are not for hitting. Let's not ever hit children. Thank you. Tiny little innocent beings. And, they say that because many children today, they'll call CPS on you. And there's a greater sensitivity being born into the world. And the thing is that's historically been happening progressively with each future generation. Each future generation is more sensitive to the last and more sensitive and aware of other people's feelings, more empathetic, if you look back, we had more and more boxes we had to be in. If you think about the Victorian age, I would be an absolute harlot if I was 48 and single, what a tramp. You know what I mean? Like, that's a ridiculous thought today, but that was the standard. And so we eventually soften the rough edges of the tight boxes that history places things in and start to open more. We are evolving. We are. It may not be at the pace everybody wants, but we are evolving. And as we evolve, we are creating and birthing into this world more and more sensitive entities that can become aware of allowing love to be love, allowing people to choose in their own sovereign temple the truth of their being, their titles, what they are, allowing cultures to mix, allowing this melting pot to not be so fixed, allowing it to mutate and change and open and expand. And when you create a massively more sensitive generation than you've had before, you wind up with a generation that has a lot of toxic femininity. When you expect the world to be sensitive to you, sensitive to your titles, sensitive to your content, when you expect sensitivity from a world that doesn't always offer it, it's almost like lacking reality. Because the reality is sometimes you smell a rose and sometimes you get pricked by a thorn. And the world is full of both beautiful, fragrant things and things that can surprisingly stab you. And so I'm not saying this to be insensitive to sensitivity. So we can twist my message. You're welcome to, but that's not really the message. The message is to understand that everything is a spectrum and there's a volume on things. And when your volume on sensitivity is so high that you feel people should be sensitive to me, people should be aware, they should be sensitive to my issues, they should be sensitive to my topics. They're not walking in your shoes. They're not walking in your issues. They're not walking in your topics. They may not be walking with your culture. They may not be walking with your titles. They may not be walking with your understandings. They're definitely not walking with your particular matrix of being. And life is diverse. And so I'm looking at that today, Heather is I'm a very sensitive soul. I feel terrible if I kill an ant. It's, you know, like I have great sensitivity. I used to have terrible arachnophobia. And now that I know how much trickster totem I have, I, of course, saved the life of every spider in my house. Um, and I'm sensitive to my little spider friends, and, but I used to kill them when I was younger because they scared me so bad. And I would feel terrible every time because a part of my soul knew they were my friends. And so, being aware of toxic femininity or toxic receptivity or having the volume too high on expecting people to receive you, to accept you, to understand you, can lead you to experiencing more thorns than you need to. Because what will happen is when people don't understand you, they don't receive you, they don't get it, you can be like, they need to get it. You can start wanting to police other people, and you're never the steward of someone else's evolution. And there have always been the unevolved here at Earth School. That's been popping off for a hot minute, probably since the Big Bang, everybody. And so it's like, I get it. It is nice. It is really nice when people honor. Heather's goal is to look at each entity that she's looking at and to have no judgment of anything that's said, anything that's done, but to just discern. Is this something I want to move towards or away from? I'm always discerning. So big ups and huge acknowledgement to this person that popped onto my channel, and maybe my channel's not for them, but I just want to honor that, like how beautiful that is to recognize this is a no for me, and then to step out. They said, I couldn't watch your video. Love that for you. Don't watch it. I highly recommend you don't watch it. Maybe don't watch my channel because it's not going to come with a content warning, because I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, frankly. I have no idea. This channel is a channel that I turn over. And when I say channel, I don't just mean Rare Bird Medicine, the YouTube channel that I'm grateful to everyone joining. I mean Heather, the channel. This channel is a channel that I turn over to serve the divine will and to allow the divine light of truth and the divine light of love to come through me. And if divinity did not want you to process trauma, trial, tribulation, did not want you to assimilate the shadow, did not want to give you trigger gateways, why would they give you any of those experiences? Why would we even come to Earth School? You see, Earth School has always had light and dark. The sun and the moon have been chasing each other forever. Yin and yang have always been present. And so both are valid. And as two-leggeds, we like to be comfortable. We like to be at peace. We like to be joyous. And that makes sense. We're so logical. We're so smart. And it's not what this realm solely offers. It has always offered both. It's always offered fear or false evidence appearing real, separation, and it's always offered union, love, connection, truth, light, awareness, And they've always rolled side by side in this dichotomy, in this duality, in this polarized realm. And so I know a lot of people that have faced severe suicidal ideation, chronic depression because of the two-leggeds that are not being sensitive to, not understanding, not being compassionate about their labels, trials, tribulations. It's painful for me to watch people struggle and suffer so based on those that might not stand at a point of evolution that you stand at. And we cannot demand that the world be equally evolved because that's not how the world is designed. We can also demand to hold the sun in our hand. It doesn't mean we're going to achieve it in a lifetime, And so I did want to make a video to let you all know Heather doesn't do content warnings. I don't do it because if I trigger you, I feel I've given you a gift. I've given you a gateway. And if you don't want to move through it, I love it if you would not watch my videos. Disconnect from the channel. It's not for you. If you're willing to be open to gateways, I can say because I turned my channel over, my mouth is going to open some of those shadowy gateways that we might want to put in some subterranean nether region of our being, and it will still reside in us until it is addressed. And we might find as we pull that out, that darkness, that shadow, that hardship, and start to put it in the light, understanding can be gleaned. Peace of mind and heart might be gained. And in that regard, it is a grace. Is there anything or any way in which you are expecting others to be sensitive to you? And does that cause you pain that is not necessarily due? You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine, comment and like there. I love to hear your thoughts. I'm Moon.